My name is Anne. I am originally from the United States. I started my journey with education as a primary school teacher in Washington, D.C., in quite a diverse school environment that I absolutely loved. So when I think about play and how smartphones have influenced or are impacting on that, I think about it in terms of developmental stages, like, the electricity in the wall. You don't just let your child find out about the hazard by sticking something in it. We know that the risk is too great, the harm is too great, so we put those plastic things in them, and so we make sure that they're just not exposed to that at all when they're too young to have any concept of it. So that's kind of my overall framing for how I've thought about smartphones and digital technology in general, is what are the unseen risks that they're not developmentally ready to see or ready to be able to handle, and what kind of scaffolding can I put around them. So sometimes it's basically it's like a risk framework. So sometimes it's to say eliminate the risk, and that's the example of putting the protectors onto the plugs. You eliminate that risk. That they're not going to be able to get that off. That's pretty foolproof. That I eliminate that risk of electrocution. Sometimes you can isolate something and kind of just make it off limits, and so it's still there, but you've isolated the risk. And sometimes you minimize the risk through education, through supervision, and so I've looked at these technologies through that lens of trying to say, okay, what is it that really the risk is too great, or I actually don't have capacity to be minimizing the risk with you, so we're just going to eliminate the risk or we're going to isolate that. But as much as I can, I will try and look for the ways to minimize through education and through a shared conversation around these things, because it is part of our modern world. So that's how I look at things. Well, I love the name. So the name jumped out at me straight away. I'm really interested in technology and how we make choices around how we use digital technology with kids. And I also love, I consider myself a rebel in many aspects of my life, and so the name straight away jumped out to me, and I thought, yeah, that's what I think is incredibly powerful is mothers in particular banding together to really think about the values that we want to impart on for our children, and having a voice. I think mothers together having a voice around social issues is incredibly powerful. It's incredibly empowering for women to work together. It can absolutely be dads and men as well, but there's something about mothers, I think the power and the passion of mothers, and that has a huge potential to make major changes in society that we don't necessarily get the benefit of, because so many of us are in our silos, or we're working and we're parenting and we're studying and we're running businesses and we're doing all these amazing things, but I think that communities of parents and mothers in particular who feel passionate about a conversation is super important. Really the opportunity cost of what they could be doing, and the addictive nature of them, and of course that feeds into it, because it's I used to get stuck into reading books for hours and hours, and would get in a flow state with that. I would also talk on the phone to my friends for hours and hours, so I've recalled those things, that kind of obsessive thing, and thought, okay, well, I used to do that, and didn't my parents weren't too concerned about it, a little bit of concern, but in terms of my own children, I think it's that kind of feels like a even greater level of addictive nature of the pace as well, the kind of sophistication of what is presented in online for them, and the sophistication of the marketing and that whole kind of behemoth behind the social media and the apps and things, which is of course to get them to use it more. So that makes me feel less comfortable about it as a medium. There's just seems to be quite a lot more money at stake there, and that makes me feel nervous. Because we're really good at creating tools to do things. That's what one of our defining characteristics as a species. We're not the strongest or the fastest, but we're really good at creating tools out of resources to enable us to do more than we could do. I don't have to bite everything with my teeth. I have scissors, I have knives, and now we've created this amazing brain that can hold so much more capacity than our own human brain, which is an incredible tool. But it takes us a little while to figure out how we want to use it. And of course it changes us, technology always does, but to be actively reflecting on this, and it just takes a little while. And I saw I think I've seen the awareness kind of increase over the past 5 years with the generation that's becoming teens now. There seems to be more awareness. I do think that there's a lot of social pressure so there's peer group pressure, so that the kids, they see the other kids that have it. It's a almost considered a mandatory item to have, and it has to be an iPhone. So I really like the idea of parents bonding together, coming together to sort of to say, well, what type of reality could we have? We could actually lessen that pressure by saying, if all of the kids don't have it, or if the schools say, if we can get the schools to say, there's no need for them here, and then that expectation is lowered of the whole of what age. I love the idea that it could be a rite of passage, almost like learning to drive a car, that you have a sense of ceremony and ritual around it, even that you could prepare your children for having this amazing tool, just like a car, and you do some coursework, or some support for you in what does it feel like to have someone else say something really nasty about your post that you made. I would say to anyone watching this, good on you, well done for being proactive, for reflecting, for being conscious about the choices that you're making for your parenting. It's not an easy situation to be in when technology is evolving at this rate that is much faster than we can keep up with. I remember reading a way of describing the rate of technological change that said, if you went back in time 2,000 years and moved someone 1,000 years, they'd pretty much be living the same way. And now if you move somebody 50 years, it's almost like a completely different way of staying alive and healthy in society based on the rate of change and of technology. And that's an amazing thing. We have created some incredible tools that we could do some amazing things with. I do think parents have a huge potential to help us use that technology in a positive way moving forward. We can let it make us into the tools, or we can use the tools well.